Welcome to the TokyoBill Weekly Update, an end-of-week news brief on what's going on in and around Japan. Today is May 10th, 2025. Reporters Without Borders released its 2025 World Press Freedom Index, ranking Japan 66th out of 180 countries, behind South Korea and Ukraine. Japan improved 4 spots but remains last among G7 nations. The United States ranked 57th. The report criticized Japan's press club system for encouraging self-censorship and discrimination against freelancers and foreign journalists, along with political pressure and gender inequality affecting media. Conditions worsened in conflict zones, with Palestine at 163rd and around 200 journalists killed in Gaza. Iran, Syria, China, and North Korea ranked near the bottom. The report highlighted that media independence is increasingly threatened by economic pressures. Japan is increasing its defense cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region through recent meetings between Defense Minister Gen Nakatani and officials from India and Sri Lanka. In India, they agreed to enhance military collaboration, establish a senior officer-level dialogue, and improve joint exercises to counter Chinese influence. In Sri Lanka, Nakatani and Deputy Defense Minister Aruna Jayasekara discussed boosting defense ties, and Sri Lankan forces were invited to participate in disaster response exercises in Japan. As Japan imports crude oil along sea lanes in the area and refuels self-defense force vessels locally to combat piracy, Sri Lanka's location is considered strategically important. Naoya Inoue stayed undefeated and kept his undisputed junior featherweight title by beating Ramon Cardenas Sunday night with an 8th-round technical knockout. Inoue, who has a record of 30-0, was knocked down in the second round but quickly regained control, dominating Cardenas with power and accuracy throughout the fight. He landed numerous punches, especially in the 6th and 7th rounds. Inoue is set to face Murodjon Akhmadaliyev in September. In other fights, Rafael Espinoza defended his WBO featherweight title with a TKO over Edward Vasquez. Rohan Polanco won by unanimous decision against Fabian Maidana, and Emiliano Vargas scored a second-round TKO over Juan Leon. The United States has denied Japan's request for full exemption from a 10% tariff and a country-specific tariff in recent talks. U.S. officials, including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, indicated that they would only negotiate a reduction in the current 14% tariff, depending on the progress of discussions. Japan seeks to eliminate these tariffs and impose tariffs on cars and steel, emphasizing its economic contributions. The U.S. has also placed a new 25% tariff on key auto parts while expressing interest in Japanese market access for U.S. goods. Finance Minister Katsunobu Kato clarified that Japan does not plan to use its U.S. Treasury holdings as leverage in negotiations. A U.S. Navy ship, the USS Miguel Keith, recently finished a 5-month repair at a Japanese shipyard, marking a significant step in expanding joint repair efforts with allies. This was the first major contract awarded to a Japanese shipyard by the United States Navy. The $12 million project involved extensive upgrades, including deck replacements and new galley ovens. The contract was possible due to exemptions in U.S. law. A similar achievement occurred previously with a South Korean shipyard overhauling a U.S. dry cargo ship. Secretary of the Navy, John Phelan, said recently while in Japan that he is seeking further cooperation in ship repair and construction projects. The U.S. Marine Corps identified Corporal Jason Cockrell, who died during a hiking trip in northern Japan over the weekend. He and his hiking partner, Corporal Andrei Drabowski, were automotive maintenance technicians stationed on Okinawa. They were hiking Mount Furano when they got lost in fog. Dabrowski called for help after they became separated and was found uninjured. Cockrell, 21, was found on a trail and later died in the hospital. An investigation is ongoing, though poor weather conditions are believed to be the main factor in the incident. Cockrell had been in the Marines since August 2022 and received several awards during his service. For years, Japanese municipalities have welcomed immigrants, mainly to fill factory jobs, but this has created tensions with locals, including a clash between Kurdish residents and city officials recently in Saitama Prefecture. Local officials have struggled with issues related to the Kurdish community, as many lack workers' rights and health insurance, leading to unpaid bills that strain the community. In 2023, Kurdish leaders began community engagement patrols to foster better relations, and the city provided support like Japanese lessons for children. In other prefectures near Tokyo, growing foreign populations have also raised concerns about garbage separation and language challenges in schools. Experts recommend the central government enhance resources to aid integration efforts. Let me take a break from my news items for this week's beer event announcement. The always popular Belgian Beer Weekend comes to Yokohama this week, with something like 90 tasty beers. 4,000 yen gets you a keep glass and some beer and food tickets. Buy more tickets for more brews. Belgian Beer Weekend kicks off on Thursday in Yamashita Park and runs on to Sunday. And back to this week's news. On April 26th, the Japan Air Self-Defense Force, JASDF, officially inducted its first U.S.-built F-35 Lightning II aircraft at Komatsu Air Base in Ishikawa Prefecture. This highlights the strengthening defense ties between Japan and the United States and sets a new standard in the Indo-Pacific security framework. The F-35's advanced features, including stealth and electronic warfare capabilities, boost Japan's ability to respond to regional threats. Japan plans to acquire a total of 147 F-35 aircraft, making it the largest international buyer. The F-35B variant will enhance maritime operations following modifications to Japan's two Izumo-class helicopter destroyers, effectively turning them into light aircraft carriers. Japan's railway and airline companies are easing dress codes to improve working conditions. Tokyo Metro will allow employees to wear black sneakers instead of leather shoes starting in May, to ease the physical strain of standing for long periods and moving quickly during emergencies. The updated dress code will also make ties optional and permit female workers to dye their hair lighter colors. Officials noted that employees questioned the requirement for only leather shoes. Similarly, Skymark Airlines began allowing staff to wear sneakers in April, and Hokkaido-based airline Air-Do ground staff are set to trial this policy in July. "43-year-old Yoshitaka Toda is being held for stabbing a university student at a Tokyo subway station. Before the attack at Todaimai Station, he used the restroom and then sat on a bench inside the ticket gates for about 30 minutes. The attack happened just before 7 p.m. while the student was waiting for a train. Security footage shows Toda chasing and slashing him multiple times without any prior contact between them. A train passenger who tried to intervene was injured with cuts to his hands. Police arrested Toda for attempted murder and are investigating his motive, but he is not answering questions at this time. South Korean media report that police have sent a case to prosecutors involving a Japanese woman accused of forcibly kissing a K-pop group member last June. BTS K-pop group member Jin had recently completed his military service and took part in a free hug event for fans. The woman, in her 50s, apparently got too carried away and kissed Jin on the cheek, leading to a criminal complaint by fans. Police sought help from the Japanese authorities to identify the woman, who recently returned to South Korea and voluntarily turned herself into police. Another woman is suspected of kissing Jin as well, but her location is unknown and investigations have stopped. A Japanese high court confirmed that advertising giant Hakuhodo must pay a fine of 200 million yen, or $1.4 million, for bid rigging related to the Tokyo Olympics. The court also confirmed an 18-month suspended prison sentence for Kenichiro Yokomizo, a former president of Hakuhodo DY Sports Marketing. The ruling stated that bid rigging included both negotiated and competitively awarded contracts. Hakuhodo colluded with others to decide contract awards for planning test events and the actual running of tournaments. Of 6 companies indicted, Hakuhodo and Dentsu Group were found guilty but have appealed, while trials for 2 other agencies continue. Foreign investors own about $8.5 trillion of the US national debt, with Japan holding approximately $1.1 trillion. This benefits both countries as Japan receives stable returns and the US keeps interest rates low. However, US tariffs on Japanese imports are complicating this relationship. Japan's finance minister recently suggested using US debt as leverage in trade talks, a shift from past avoidance. Selling US treasuries could drastically impact markets and Japan's economy, so Japan remains cautious. Further, Japan's US Treasury holdings are linked to rising tensions with China, and while Japan has potential leverage, it is unlikely to use it aggressively, viewing it more as a strategic symbol than an immediate option. A digitization project at the United States National Archives aims to make 500 million pages of historical documents available online by 2026. But preserving original documents remains highly valued. Many of America's founding documents need repair from time to time. Enter Japanese traditional paper, washi. Washi's unique properties, being light, strong, and long-lasting, make it essential for conservation efforts. Its value in art restoration and memory preservation is increasingly recognized, including in UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage assets, and is being used by museums worldwide, including recently to repair damaged historical documents in Ukraine. North Korea launched several short-range ballistic missiles into the sea on Thursday, reaching distances of up to 800 kilometers. South Korea is coordinating with the United States and Japan about the launch. Japan reported no impact from the missiles in its territory. North Korea's missile program is banned by United Nations resolutions, but the nation continues to develop their capabilities. Experts suggest these tests may be aimed at exporting missiles to Russia, accused of receiving such weapons for use against Ukraine. A February investigation noted improvements in the accuracy of North Korean missiles used by Russia in the conflict. Due south of Mount Fuji in Tsuruga Bay, tiny, tasty sakura shrimp are recovering after years of low catches that hurt local fishing. Fishermen have put in voluntary restrictions to help protect the translucent pink shrimp, known as the Jewel of Tsuruga Bay. Catch numbers have improved from 128 tons in 2020 to over 500 tons in 2024, which, while positive, is still far short of 1,000 tons, typical prior to 2017. The recovery is linked to a reduced number of fishing boats and shorter net dragging times. Sensitive areas have also faced fishing restrictions to allow for successful spawning. The scenic coastal community aims to ensure this delicious treasure lasts for future generations by monitoring and adjusting their fishing practices. Meanwhile, in Chiba Prefecture, a small deer species native to China and Taiwan has been increasing its territory and damaging crops and the local ecosystem since individuals escaped from a tourist park between 1960 and 1980. The prefecture aims to eradicate the diminutive barking deer, known locally as kyon, but as of fiscal 2023, their population is about 86,000, with hunting efforts unable to affect their breeding rate. Chihiro Kaze, a lecturer at Azubu University, notes factors like favorable climate and food availability contribute to their population growth. While increased hunting efforts alone may not suffice, additional measures like protective fencing are being considered to help control their population. That brings us to the end of news items for the week ending May 10th. You can read these stories and my other content at my website, theTokyoBill.com. Please check it out. I've been, and remain, Tokyo Bill. Thank you for listening, and take care.